The selfishness and narcissistic nature of women. Well, what can I say? I would have to assume most of us have seen this firsthand. This is my experience in it. Oh, in 2005, my mom died of botched heart operation. Uh, if I knew then what I knew now, I personally wouldn't have made the choice that I did, even though I did it under orders from my mom. She signed a DNR, and I was obligated to follow it. Well, shortly after, my now ex-wife uh, came up with her family and our kids to, I don't know, annoy the hell out of me as I was attempting to deal with the death of my mom and trying to get the funeral organized, the caskets picked out. Anyways, after they got up here, I'll give you an idea about the selfishness of women. I was not even allowed to mourn the woman that raised me selflessly. She was one of the few. She was also of a different generation. After my ex-wife decided that she was my wife at the time, but she had decided that after 3 days that my allowance of time to be able to mourn the woman who raised me was up. I wasn't allowed to go through the process and viewing it the way that I did and still do. I wasn't allowed to mourn the death of my mom that, as I viewed it, I caused. And I was instantly berated by my wife and her mother. Her father, he could empathize a little bit, but he shoveled in he shoveled in a vat of blue pills about every hour, and he was so beholden to his wife that she could say that the sky is red, and he would, I'm not kidding, he would look at her and say, "You are a genius, honey," and actually, in some way, mean it. This was kind of pathetic. But as I was dealing with this, my brother had to try and come up from Virginia. We were staying at my mom's house at the time, and when my brother came up, I figured, alright, you go back into your own room, or old room, and then my wife, I keep trying not to say her name. Then my wife and her mother start attacking my brother. You shouldn't be here, yada yada. Anything they could do to nitpick or shame him, or looking back now, I'm ashamed. But this is the mentality of women. Everything has to be on their schedule, on their terms. And even if you do what they want, if it's not done the way that they want, or in the order that they want, or if you do it and you have the, and I'm not kidding, the wrong attitude, these people should have been committed. And looking back, I should have as well, just for putting up with it. Yeah. But this is their mentality. And then, you're gonna love it, I was then being berated and harangued for wanting to spend time with old friends, as we were able to essentially sit around and console each other. Many of my friends had looked at my mom as a second mom, or in one case, a grandma. And I actually had to sneak away to go and visit with a friend that I had had for 17 years. So we could mourn together. But no. My wife's emotional needs and desires came first, and only to be supported by her mother and her mangina father. This is what we are up against. This is why society only works when women's emotions and actions are essentially restrained by social norms. This is what we go through when women are able to run amok, when they're able to gain power over everyone and everything. It was honestly by luck that shortly after my mom had died, Katrina had hit New Orleans. That actually had given me an excuse. I had to go to a disaster area that was just horrible and horrifying. A place where she would not go, just so I could work and try to work through my own grief. Shortly after I had gotten to Louisiana. Her father showed up. I later found out that my wife and her mother decided to convince my father-in-law to come out there to keep an eye on me. We had gotten somewhat tight as a result of that, and he had actually gotten to the point of seeing what I was doing and why I was doing it and how I was doing it, and he began to understand. And from that time on, anything that we talked about or did was never mentioned around either of them unless we both agreed that it was okay. Men have this capacity to empathize with each other through a shared experience. He had lost his parents as well. His dad, the loss of his dad hit him particularly hard. We also have this ability to actually admit when we are wrong. We have the ability to apologize and move on. It seems this is not a capability that women have. If they ever admit that they were wrong, they will essentially take note of that one incident and use it to throw in your face any other time that they will not admit that they are wrong. It's a losing game, my friends. And I can tell you, you come across any woman and one of her first questions, I mean seriously, if she asks you this question within the first 2 weeks of meeting her or starting something, run. If she asks you, well, what do you do for a living? Run. I can say from my experience, not all women are bad. But for men right now, let's try an analogy here. I gotta try and get out of this place. Let's say there are 100 teddy bears just sitting in a room. Now, there are 50 teddy bears with a bomb in it that'll go off the moment you pick it up. Then there are 10 gold bars mixed in with all those teddy bears. You then have 40 teddy bears that have bombs in them, but the bombs are painted to go and look like gold bars. You don't know which is which, since the weights are all the same. You pick up a teddy bear and you don't explode. You open it up, and you see a gold bar, but it's set to explode 10 feet away from the bank. These are essentially the odds men are facing today with the family court system, divorce law. I mean, I'm not even including palimony in all of this. Yeah, I actually had to pay my ex-mother-in-law palimony. Fucking bitch. Anyways, this is the minefield of marriage and relationships. These are the odds people are facing. And these women and politicians honestly have the gall to go and ask men and why we don't want to walk into that room and pick up a teddy bear. They are berating us because we decide, you know what? I don't want to go in that room. I'm going to go over to the bar and hang out with some friends. Have a good time. I don't think I'm going to take those odds. But this is what our young men are facing. Our teenagers, our men in their early 20s. It's too late for me, in many ways. But it's not too late for them, and it's not too late for my son, which is one of my primary concerns with all of this. I have girls and I have boys. At this rate, I'm gonna end up with a platoon. But, anyways, this is the reality of the women that are out there, where you're not even allowed to deal with the passing of your mom because it interferes with their desires. I need a beer.